Hello. Anyway, what do we do to actually export a certain degree of a pointer in relation to the network of the something in relation to something? So, whatever you know is whatever you know, because in that way, whatever you know is whatever you know in relation to whatever you know, because I don't know. Okay. Section of a formula in relation to the selective hygienic. Well, I don't know life much in relation to the validation of any working certificate in relation to the POS of the D time, because the POS of the D time is actually the network of the non-Pokeson in relation to the defer. So anyway, in that way, if we can somehow work out the data of the threshold, we can actually work out the next threshold, because in that way, the design intelligence is based upon the intuition of the Manganang, because the validation of the exporting degree is based upon the translator to position itself into the compliance of its own network, because the majority of its own network is that, based upon the circumstance of the Malagarang, we will position ourselves into the compliance of its own network. But in that way, the Nikanang of the Makala is that the Nikaro is the development of the threshold. Because in relation to the Thurkason, the Rokanang is that the Nikata is the acusticist in relation to their own Menifun, because their own Menifun is based upon the intuition of the Blakata. Because the 31 of the Galakashan is that if there is a Nekane, then we will Talasa. Don't know yet. So in that way, with the threshold, the Kakashantan is statisticist in relation to its own value. Because in that way, in relation to its own value, the Lakalang of Sufunk is Aqua. And in that way, if there is a white rabbit that will perform into the next transition, the data of the white rabbit is that the Nokotong of knowing that Johnny Depp is the execution of its own white song. Realistically, the evolution of knowing how to percussion the manufacturing degree of its own performance, then the F1 is Krokonon. Throttle 2, then nah, not really. Anyway, in a matter of time, people, the development of the Thurkason is the Nakada in relation to the Kihu, because in that way, if there is a revision to support the Blakata, the next Tintason will actually be Allah do Santan in relation to the cylinder. But in relation to the cylinder, the praxison of Dutoshon will actually be Dutolo in relation to the Thurko Kasantapalala by the EPC, because the EPC is a difference in my own computer. Is that EPU? Oh yeah. So in that way, in relation to the EPU, it fractaten the next Ikalo in relation to the exile. So in relation to the exile, the Makalang of the Ilukutso Galakathe is the Nikaton of the Maka, because in Sohoro, the Mendefangsang is So in relation to the second tails, the development of the thocosome is that the manufacturing degree will be formulating into the aplaxat tachato, because the severe testosterone based upon its own achievable manufacturing degree of inter disli gunna is the antithesis of the data. Yes. So in that way, if we can review the supporter in relaying the department of amnesia based upon duplication, the transition of the Nokoto is based upon the Kanagana, because in a matter of time, we are closer in relation to the Droko, because the mathematician, the Rosotetra. So, Xeon, in relation to, Xeon, in relation to the plexan, the lacatsan of the MO, is that the third of the third development is to plexasan, the nicatan, because in the matter of time, once we can subsidize into the flacasu, we will actually work out the data. So, 56, 21, acid, deep, de. So in this way, the collocation of the deep der is based upon the collocation of the Blair. But in relation to the Blair, the thesis of Anakanai will the manufacturing degree. So, QO. What's your name again? Sorry, I forgot. At Oka. KEUO? Oh, I forgot. So in that way, when we also develop the next Tongtong, we will be manically in relation to the plaka. Ah, have I been through this? Pixel. No. Oh, this one's a hard one. Don't know it yet. And this one is the semiconductor. This one's a hard one, and this one is a semiconductor. So anyway, rejoice of formulation. D, 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 robot, cis, com. So in that way, the ever solution in relation to the production, the Mikati Akala Katasan is the Nikiton of the Nikola, because in relation to the third development of the technical support is to adaptation the chassis, because in that way, the democratization of manifestation will total. But in so, the legal law is based upon the position of the timer and to San Sokashon, the Alakasi Tatasana Barakasho. So in that manner of time, once we re-weep the wiki in relation to the performance of our own content area for C5 and C6 in relation to development of technology, then we will position ourselves into the permeation of the injection. So government, based upon the injection, the next detention is the Likota Akatasen Tanakana in relation to the Thurho and Dutusu. So, Energizer, E-N-G-I, that's not Energizer, Z-E-R, Plum, dessen Schossen. So in this way, to preview the teleport in relation to the plexism, the next totoshon will actually be Boloko Dalakasan Dasasan. So in that way, when we dwakoshon the Nikanang, we will perform the own the own Dalaksa and also to Bohokoshon. The Chikota Senakanang. So in his own way, what's your business name again? Sorry. K-E-U something, I forgot. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So anyway, in that way, if we can telepa karakasisan to conditioner, okay, take me a while. So in that way, we can also rework into the growing hair, etc., etc., etc. So in that way, the application of the ekashang will actually be production in relation to the development of the third amount of technical support and to data the rekoshang of the toshono, because the review is to insert therma and the thesis of Banakasan and the transition of the block call. So in that way, the decision of the Nakala will make it in relation to the Kokusho. So in a matter of time, when we know that the Tusise is the Nakana and also to position itself into the Takason. So the Blikele and Toshiton. So in that way, the Lakasa is Tashon. So Flexism Datasin Dadala. So this is 9%. Third, 8, 4. So in this way, the nickname of the local Lokakara will rotate into Afrikasai, because the relationship to this is nice. So anyway, the occurrences in Noa Kalakapa and this is in the Koto, because it is the coefficient 36, 21, air. So in this way, the process is Mekita, which is the synonym of things you will know in relation to our Galacapsal, the black hole. So in that way, the galaxy is 2 miles away. Barikili, a sono, the Dakota percentage system is a manipulate of the Balakatsai, because in that way, the Shonsam Tala. No. I know Galicia Papa create them. I've seen them. But throws enemy is the death throw shuttle of one of these, maybe, I don't know yet. Because the equation of the entire planet would secretom in relation to our Bella. Something like that. Well, I can go on and on with these, but I'll leave it for Papa and Galicia, because they're the main. So anyway, the flexism in relation to the Takoko is the Nixon of the black. So there's something we need to do in this one, because it's the Kokushoson See? Really? Chantong, Nakan, etc. So, Olga, I hope you like it. Just don't know, normal things. But anyway, um, don't know. Don't know. What day is it today? Oh, I didn't know. Anyway, well, well, I don't create. Well, alright, whatever. It's hard. Well, but anyway. Ah, there's some interesting things in here in relation to something because Fluck, no. Take me a while for this one. Don't know what this is. Don't we have amusement game or something we call it? Used to be like time zone in the city when I was young. I don't know what you call it. Don't know what this one is yet. Don't know it yet. So, Princess Max, Kids Delight. Oh, what the hell's this? Don't know. Need battery. These things will take us some time in relation to the mother tree and also to the Garagashanam of the third law, because the geneticist may be somewhere, I don't know as yet. Well, okay.